Hey guys, I'm Theobald Headman, and you're watching Southern Ingenuity. In this video, I'm going to be making a work holding plate to mount to the top of my Enco dividing head. Now I'm going to be doing that so that I can machine rounded features or circular patterns with my Bridgeport milling machine. In the future, I'm planning to make a specialized tool that'll help increase the efficiency of frequent adjustments on some of the machines at the factory where I work. But in order to make this tool, I've got to make several other small customized tools and jigs. So this work holding plate is going to be the first of these tools, and it's going to help facilitate the production of the others. I start out by getting the dividing head trammed in as flat and center as I can. Using a back plunger indicator, I was able to get the chuck backing plate perpendicular with the spindle to within about 1/1000th of an inch in the y-axis and about 1/2,000th in the x-axis. Then I used a test indicator to get the center of the dividing head centered with the spindle before zeroing the x and y axes on the digital readout. I then drill 4 holes in the backing plate and tap each one with a 1/4-20 thread. The holes will be 90 degrees apart from each other and spaced 3 inches away from the center. These will be for securing the work holding plate to the dividing head. Now, I haven't yet acquired for myself one of those spring-loaded tap guides for aligning the tap perpendicular with the work surface. So in the typical Southern Ingenuity style, I improvised. I used a countersink tool in the spindle and a bungee cord attached to the quill feed handle. And despite the fact that the tap handle itself has seen much better days, it all worked well enough to get the job done. Well, now I'm going to move on to the work holding plate itself. It's going to be made from some old, discarded aluminum that I acquired several years ago. The perimeter is about 1 inch thick, and the backside interior has been machined away to leave the metal at a thickness of about 1/2 of an inch. Two large clamping dogs were used to elevate the aluminum above and parallel with the table. Then I used a test indicator to get it positioned parallel with the x-axis before tightening it all down. With the plate secured to the table, I locate the edges and set the origin point as the upper left corner of the workpiece. Well, somewhere along the way between transferring these clips from my phone to an external hard drive and then later back to my computer for editing, I somehow lost 14 video clips and wasn't able to recover them. So here we are after machining the mounting holes for the plate and the center clamping nut attachment. I used a 5/8 inch end mill to bore the 1/2 inch pilot hole to its final dimension. This hole is going to be used for locating workpieces to the center of the dividing head. It's also going to be used as an indicating surface for getting the dividing head itself centered with the spindle. Next, I drill and tap 38 holes, each with a 5/16 18 thread. These holes will be used for clamping workpieces to the plate for machining. The holes are spaced 1.5 inches apart in both the X and the Y axes. The next piece that I'll be working on is the center clamping nut attachment. I wanted to be able to use a clamping bolt in the center of the work plate if need be. So that meant that any kind of threaded attachment here would have to be below the 5/8 inch indicating hole, and it could not interfere with the mating surfaces of the plate and the dividing head. I used an old washer that I had on hand and a piece of 3/4 inch round stock to make this part. Now, as luck would have it, this piece of stock had already been turned down to a smaller diameter on one side, and it was a near perfect fit for the hole in the washer. Lightly facing the surface of the washer ensures that it will be perpendicular to the centerline axis of the round stock. I've got a lot of these 1032 forming taps laying around that I'll probably never use, so I cut one of them off and rounded the corners of the flats, and this worked out much better as a centering pin for getting the tap aligned properly with the hole. The center hole here is going to be tapped with a 1/4 20 thread. Four mounting holes are drilled and tapped around the perimeter of the washer, each with an 832 thread. They will be 1/2 inch away from the center hole and spaced 90 degrees apart from one another. Well, now it's time to mount the plate into position. So with the dividing head again centered with the spindle, I use a 5/8 inch dowel pin to position the plate before lightly tightening the mounting bolts. Then I use the indicator to verify correct position before tightening the bolts completely. To ensure the plate doesn't slip position during operation, I'm going to install two 3/16 inch dowel pins. I'll drill a slightly undersized hole through both the aluminum plate and the cast iron backing plate. Then I use a reamer to bring the hole in the aluminum to a finished diameter of 0.1865 inches. This is 1/1000th of an inch smaller than the diameter of the dowel pin. This will allow for a secure interference fit when the dowel pin is pressed into the hole. I then ream the holes in the cast iron to a diameter of 0.188 inches. This is a 1/2,1000th larger than the diameter of the dowel pin. The pins also act as locating guides. If I ever need to remove the plate from the dividing head, the pins will ensure that I can reattach it in the exact same location. Now I don't have a press, so I used a quill on the milling machine to press the dowel pins into the holes. And in hindsight, I realized that probably wasn't such a good idea, so I'm not going to do that again. Okay, oh, look at that. Look at that. Oh, perfect. I stamped some orientation marks into the edges of the plate before lightly filing away any small burrs from the surface. Well, now let's take a look at the plate in action. These are some clips from videos that I have coming up in the future. In my next video, I'll be making the work holding clamps that are visible here. So if you'd like to see these videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notifications bell. And if you enjoyed this video, then please, by all means, click the like button and share it with your friends. So until next time, I'm Theobald Headman. Thanks for watching Southern Ingenuity.